Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, February 15th, 2024. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Yesterday, we started a series where we're breaking down, I guess we'll say, success stories, or maybe that's the wrong terminology, but we're looking at how some of the branches are going about getting their leads, their lead sources, their lead techniques. Yesterday, and if you didn't see yesterday's training, I recommend that you view it. Yesterday was Thomas Kern's model. Thomas's approach is a little bit different. He likes to focus on pre-formation businesses. And so that's what we talked about yesterday. And we went through exactly where he gets his leads, and they're very good leads. Now, today we're going to turn the page and talk about a different branch, Samantha, and her model. So her model is completely different, not quite the opposite, but very different from what Thomas Kearns does. So let's look at Samantha's model, and then together we can kind of critique it and maybe give Samantha some feedback of what she could do better based upon what you're doing and your opinions. So we'll call this Samantha's branch model. So again, same goal, enrolling one client per day in the startup program. So same goal as Thomas Kearns had yesterday, but a different lead pool. So Samantha, instead of what Thomas Kearns did, which was focus on pre-formation businesses, she's focusing on businesses that are considered early stage. So they're already formed and they're already revenue producing, but they're not necessarily prospering. So these are early stage businesses that are explicitly looking for funding, but they're not fundable. So in other words, they're not just ready to go get funded right now. And frankly, if they were, they probably wouldn't need us. They wouldn't need you and I and the program. So, because we've talked several times about how important it is to have a defined target audience. And it's okay if you have multiple campaigns reaching out to different target audiences. But what we consistently see is that our branches that have a written business plan with a specific targeted audience, they tend to do the best, because when you know who you're trying to reach, it's easier to reach them. To shotgun it is very difficult. Shotgunning rarely works. So specifically, Samantha likes startup phase business owners with less than 100,000 in annual revenue. So these are folks that in the startup program, as you know, we provide a number of formation services, like the filing with the Secretary of State and helping them get their EIN and bank account. So Samantha's focus doesn't really include that, because these folks are beyond that unless they want to form a new business for the capital raise specifically. So what is the value proposition that Samantha emphasizes? Well, she helps these small businesses become fundable, because the businesses exist, they need money, they want money, but they're not fundable. So the two problems that typically exist that Samantha focuses on resolving through the startup program would be the 3 C's. And we've talked about the 3 C's for years during these morning Zooms: credit, collateral, capacity. 3 C's, but we're talking about the business's 3 C's. So she'll educate these individuals, business owners, about how through the startup program we can help them build their business credit profile so they look strong on paper, they look credible on paper, they have a strong PAYDEX score, for example, with Dun & Bradstreet. And these folks also typically have weak financials, so we help them have strong financial statements, legally and ethically, of course, such as a strong balance sheet. So these are two elements of the deliverables normally in the startup business funding package. I'm just trying to bring to your attention that these are the two that really are important to her target audience because they're beyond needing forming with the Secretary of State. So again, just like with Thomas Kearns yesterday, she's emphasizing getting the clients in with only 500 out of pocket because Samantha's model generates 4 paydays for her for every client enrolled. And so she's getting paid 500 gross income paid up front. Her goal is 1 a day. So $500 a day coming in, that's about $15,000 a month. And again, I was almost apologetic yesterday because I know a lot of you, $15,000 a month is not enough for your time, for your intellect, for your focus. But this is the Samantha model. And again, most of you are doing this on a part-time basis. And so if 15,000 a month is not enough for your personal income needs, that doesn't mean that you're not out selling insurance or some of your CPAs or doing other services. But again, keep in mind that in Samantha's branch model, it's not just about the $500. She's paid 4 times for each client that she enrolls. So she gets paid up front and then again in 7 days. You might say, well, how does that happen? As we trained on a few days ago, any client that's interested will help them get their first tranche, their first round of financing. We have a funding coordinator that will reach out to them once they've enrolled and ask them, hey, well, she'll welcome aboard, but also, hey, do you need an initial tranche of working capital now while we're working on getting your business fundable? And it's okay. If they say yes, then great, we do that. And if they say no, then that's okay too. And we had a conversation about that and training on that recently. So Samantha's paid the 500 up front, again in 7 days from those that want first tranche financing, again in 30 days. Now, what is this all about? Well, when we're using what we call the buy now, pay later, instead of the client paying $2,500 up front, they're only paying $500 up front. So we use a system that's called Sweet Pay, the buy now, pay later. So that means the balance of what Samantha is receiving from that enrollment is delayed by 30 days. And so that's the second bullet here, which is actually her 3rd time getting paid for that client. And then, of course, again, once the client is funded. Some folks yesterday got a little wired up about, well, why is it 90 days? So you and I know that it normally takes 30 to 60 days to create a fundable business. Could be faster, could be slower, but that's the normal range. Well, let's just say 60 days to be conservative. So 60 days to get the client fundable by building their business credit profile and getting their financials where they need to be. So if at 60 days they're fundable, does that mean poof, suddenly they're funded? No, that means that we go apply for funding, let's just say on day 61. And so just allowing for 30 days to pay out. Some lenders pay quicker, a few slower, but we're just being conservative here. So again, as you're evaluating the Samantha model, thinking about if this is something that would work for your branch, just understand that there's 4 paydays per client. 500 up front, which would be around 15,000 a month. Not much, I know. Again, paid secondly, 7 days for those that want first tranche financing. Again, in 30 days from enrollment, from the rest of the enrollment fee through Sweet Pay. And then again, when the client gets funded. So we're going to go through her budget and we're going to talk about where she gets her leads, which is different than Thomas Kearns yesterday. But let's stop here. Who has questions, comments, feedback on this model? So you be the consultant and give Samantha constructive criticism. What do you like about this? What do you dislike? So Andrew, let us know and you're going to put your thoughts into the Q&A. It's question and answer. It's like a chat box on Zoom. So Andrew, what would you have to say to Samantha about how she's running her branch? what constructive criticism? Bernard, Cornell, Eric, Erica, Felicia, Gilbert, Jeanette, Kenya, Lanita, Larry, Marilyn, Pauline, Pearlie, Richard, Sanya, Solano, Terrence, Trevor, Varney. We have 220 of you on right now. So what feedback do you have? Is there something that you're doing a little bit better that maybe you want to educate Samantha on, or do you like this model? Is this something that you think might work for you? So go ahead and type that feedback in. We'll go through that in a moment. So let's look at her budget. So this is how she approaches it. So she has a set budget of 500 a month on leads. That's what she sets aside. She has it budgeted. Now, some people think, well, why would I ever want to buy leads? That's an expense. Well, most businesses have expenses, whether it be payroll or advertising or rent or what have you. So her approach is to spend 500 a month. Her experience, and it varies, but she normally closes about 20% of the leads that she's getting. I'll show you where she's getting them from, so you can do the same thing if you want. Around 20% within 30 days. Because what will happen is there'll be a few others that sign later, but we really want to look at conversion rates within the first month. And her average income is around $25,000 per client, but not all up front, right? Because there's 4 paydays and those are spread out over time, right? So we understand that we don't get all paid up front. Okay, so any question on Samantha's budget before we go down and talk about her lead sources? Any questions on her budget? So Timothy's asking, well, could she spend more? Well, yeah, I mean, she could spend more, but this is just her budget, just like each of you have a budget. Okay, and Cornell's asking about lead volume and that, so let's get into that. So here's her resource. So she's using a group called Lead Tycoons. And so Lead Tycoons has a variety of different types of leads, but the category of what Samantha's using are categorized under micro business funding leads. So you can go there now or later and research. And so what they do for Samantha is they drip leads because she doesn't want to be overwhelmed. And this is just one of the things that she does. So she gets on average 2 to 5 leads per day. So they're coming in. Now, if she has a day where she's available, she'll actually have those leads live transferred to her. So as the Lead Tycoons people are generating leads for her, they'll literally do a live phone transfer. But if she has a busy day where she doesn't have the ability to take the calls on the fly, then what she'll do is she'll just get the leads through text, I believe. But she'll get real-time notifications. So these are real fresh leads, right? Not just some list of people that they're reselling. And then Cornell was asking, my understanding is she spends 500 a month and gets 25 leads. So what is that math on that? Around $20 a lead. And then she's converting around 20%. Now, you might convert more or less than her. The good news is that that's the beauty of what you and I do. We're helping people, of course, but the profitability is so high, even if you bought 25 leads and only converted 1, which would be horrible. But if you were only able to convert 1, only help 1 small business, it's still profitable. So that's the beauty of it, is that the break even is 1. And again, if any of you want to try Samantha's model, but if you don't have 500, because I think that's the smallest batch size that they do for this type of lead. So you can't say, well, what if I just wanted $100 worth of leads? I don't think they'll do that. I think that's the smallest batch. But if you need working capital, obviously let us know and we can help you. So let me make this smaller and let's kind of go through the constructive criticism that you have, because again, you're kind of her advisory council. You're here to help Samantha do better. So from your knowledge, your education, your experience, what would you advise to Samantha to do better? Other than, I guess, what Timothy said is, I think he's advising she should spend more because these numbers warrant, I mean, the more she spends, the more she makes, because this is going to be proportionate and this is consistent of the conversions. And that's right, but there's only so much time in the day. She really likes when she's getting the live transfers because she's not trying then to chase them down, right? This is a phone call where the person's on the line now and looking for funding. All right, so Pearlie says she likes everything about this model. In this economy, there are a lot of people that need the 500 startup cost. Yeah, so instead of asking the client to pay the full 2,500 up front, it allows them to start very affordably. A lot of times people are short-term focused. And so how do you respond to that? Well, you can say, well, we can get started for only 500. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to help your business become fundable. We guarantee that. We're going to build out the business credit profiles of your business, and we're going to build out legally and ethically your financials, like having a strong balance sheet. We're even going to transfer over $10,000 of assets, and we can get started today for only 500. So that type of approach works well. The other, I guess, element of generating quick results is, again, reminding them that we can do the first tranche financing for them. So it's not that they have to wait 90 days to see results, to see funding. It may take 30 to 60 days to get their business fundable, then apply for the larger amounts, but we can get them their first tranche in a matter of a couple of days. Frankly, that's what people tend to want to hear. All right, Marilyn has some constructive criticism. She says she thinks the percentage is low, that maybe she could do better, convert more. And that's fine. And Marilyn, you frankly may be a better closer than what Samantha is. But what I'd say is, for each of you, give it a try, right? Try 1 month. We've got 15 days or so left, not quite 15 days, but we got about half of February left. Why don't you try Samantha's model between now and the end of the month and just see what your conversion rates are? And you're right, Marilyn, maybe you'll get 25 or 30% conversion. Marilyn, what are your conversion rates currently of what you're doing as you give Samantha constructive criticism to get this number up? What are you averaging now, Marilyn, for your conversions? All right, and then Cornell had asked about the lead volume, and so we covered that. Richard says he likes this and similar to his concept. So again, but what can we take away from this, right? So what we see is that she has a targeted market. She has easy access to the leads that are coming in drip, drip, drip every day. She has a set budget for marketing, and it works, right? It works. So she's not here to say that she's got a better model than you have, but each day what we want to do is break down. So tomorrow, for instance, Terrence, would you be willing to share your model and your results? Tim Swearingen, thank you for joining the team. We'd love to break down your model. Trevor, you've been very successful. So any of you that would be willing to share your data with us, we'd love, with your permission, we'd like to share it with the team, right? Who is your target market? Where are you getting your leads from? What type of results are you getting? That's what we want to do, is share success stories. Kenya, tell us a little bit about your approach. Jakara, tell us about yours. Well, we know as a branch, we want to be helping at least 2 clients a week after our 30-day grace period. But beyond that grace period, now after 30 days, we need to be productive. We need to be out helping. So certainly there's no mandate that you're doing a deal a day. So I don't want you to feel pressure to do a deal every day. But that's a good goal, I think, to have, which allows us to very easily assess, were we successful today? Did we enroll at least one client? Was every day payday? And is Thomas Kearns on today? No, he's not with us, but that's just his coined message. I don't know if he's trademarked it or not. Every day should be payday as a branch office, because we have something that solves people's problems. It's real, it works. All right. So with that being said, we'll be back tomorrow morning. If any of you would like to share your model with us, email me the relevant information as well as permission, and then we could go through it. But I'd love to share with others what each of you are doing. So again, Andrew, can you allow us to tell your story to everyone else? David, Eric Boone, Ernest. So let's help the team from those of you that are doing really well, and allow us to share your story with others. All right. So in summary, here's the Samantha model. Love it or hate it, it's what she does. It's how she pays her bills. It's how she makes her money. If you'd like to try to replicate it, you're welcome to. If you have a better model, let's share it with the team, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.